Hi, I'm Alberto Santillan of Arroz y Frijoles Music, arrozfrijolesmusic.blogspot.com, and I'm here enjoying a Diet Coke with Kevin Berman of The Pains of Being Pure at Heart, who just finished playing an obnoxiously fun set here at the Cellar Door in Visalia, California, on an April night in 2011. And we've got a few questions for Mr. Berman, you know, with The Pains of Being Pure at Heart, and so here we go. First thing I want to know, just by researching The Pains of Being Pure at Heart, when your first album dropped in '09, like I became obsessed with it. I became obsessed with a few bands just by what you guys would name drop in interviews. Two of those bands are, this is just a music nerd question, are Black Tambourine and The Exploding Hearts. I just want to know, what's your favorite song by each? My favorite Black Tambourine song is by Tomorrow, and my favorite Exploding Heart song is Jailbird. What are yours?
Oh man, first of all, it's really cool that you went out and checked out those bands.
I love those bands.
Awesome, and they're just like super good. And I'm a little bit partial to Throw Aggie Off the Bridge. I know it's kind
Everybody
of
loves
like
that one.
the hit, but it's just like so
anthemic, right?
Anthemic and like direct and like really wonderful. And for Exploding Hearts, it's a song I have on a 7-inch, but it's on the
it's on the album.
It's not on the actual Guitar Romantic album. It's on the other one that has
Shattered.
Shattered, that has all the other tracks, and it's called Making Teenage Faces.
Yeah.
And I think I don't know, for whatever reason, that one like always stuck out in my mind because I got the 7-inch. I remember, and I was like, why are they looking so like pouty on the front? Like it was like they were looking like intentionally like this or like. And I was like, and it took me a long time to realize they were making teenage faces on the sleeve. And I was like, oh, I was like, these guys are usually so like cool and not like that. But I was like, then I realized, of course, like I just didn't get it. Like it took me a long time to put it together. But it's a great song, and they're both great bands. And I really appreciate that people can discover music that we love through our band and realize that a lot of stuff we grew up with like, influenced us a lot and made us make the music that we did.
Yeah, like the music is pretty much the one thing that makes everybody equal. I mean, wouldn't you agree, Kevin?
Of course.
Yeah. Anyway, that said, you guys opened with Belong off of your new album on Slumberland Records, and the first time I heard Belong, that first song, I always thought it was like the great 90s alt-rock song that never was, like something that would have gotten played on the Buzzbin, on MTV in 1995, you know? Like in the best possible way. And it reminds me, of course, of My Bloody Valentine, The Smashing Pumpkins, and I wanted to ask, with this second album, Belong, on Slumberland Records, was that kind of a conscious step away from the 80s indie pop, twee influences, or did you guys just want to incorporate something new into the mix?
Yeah, I mean, I guess like, what we always try to do is express ourselves through our music. That sounds kind of general, but yeah, a big part of the music we love is a lot of like indie pop from the 80s and 90s, both American stuff on labels like Slumberland and Kindred Core, or like Teen Beat and Magic Marker or K Records and stuff, but also a lot of the stuff from Europe, especially the Scottish indie pop bands that we really loved as well. And
Vaselines and Yummy Fur and all that good stuff.
Yeah,
right?
it's like there's like an incredible tradition, especially the Scottish tradition. It's just like, it's a very small country. Like Glasgow alone, like has more awesome bands than
it can hold, right?
Yeah, it's just like half of my favorite bands are from Glasgow. Like, why does that work out that way? But yeah, there's also other aspects of the music that we love, and I mean, you mentioned like Exploding Hearts, like. They're not like an indie pop band. They're like a punk pop band from the 2000s. And likewise, growing up, like we grew up with a lot of, Buzzbin, like Alternative Nation kinds of bands, and like Nirvana was probably the first band that kind of got us into alternative music. Like growing up, like up to that point, it was like they sort of marked that divide between. A generational divide. I remember my friend's older brother was really into Guns N' Roses, and he's like, "You guys should listen to Guns N' Roses." We're like, "No, we like Nirvana." And from there, it's like bands like Smashing Pumpkins, Weezer, even like they sort of were these like big, huge sounding bands, but they were also alternative, and like it's hard to explain the dichotomy because it's like. They're big sounding bands, but they were also rejecting the notion of being a traditional, like, big sounding rock band. And I think that's interesting and cool, and those were like the bands I loved listening to. share with people that we like that kind of sound.
That said, you guys are getting pretty comfortable into the live incarnation of the band, and I wanted to ask you, last I heard, the band formed kind of, you met some of the people in the band because you were working at a marketing firm in New York, and Peggy at one point was a blogger for BuzzFeed. I wanted to ask you, like, are you guys comfortable enough in the, playing music that this is your day job now, or you guys still kind of just...
Well, I mean, I think at the comfort level is just that, whether or not it's like our job or not, it's more just like
it's what you love to do.
It's what we it's what we love to do, and also like we're not like we didn't wake up and say like, oh, we're gonna become like awesome rock performers or whatever. We love music. Like first and foremost, I think we're a band obviously, but like we've been music fans longer than we've been in a rock band. So we're more comfortable in the role of like of loving music, but not necessarily always knowing how to express it live. And I think like just by playing live shows for a while now, we've gotten a little bit more comfortable, and hopefully we didn't seem awkward or like off-putting or whatever.
No, it was good.
But
it was a blast.
But like yeah, we have fun playing music, but we also don't have the like maybe the traditional like theatrics of like rock and roll. It's like, are you having a good time tonight?
Do you people want to rock and roll tonight?
Yeah,
that kind of shit.
it's like that kind of stuff. I mean, it's like it's great if you're comfortable doing that. Like we're just a little bit more. I mean,
open.
We're just a little bit more like like we're pretty not cool dudes in spandex pants or anything like that. So.
I'm not a cool dude in spandex pants.
And I guess the other aspect of it is like you mentioned like how we formed, and it was more like we were friends first before we were like, let's start a band. Like Peggy and Alex were two people I hung out with all the time, and Kurt. And when I moved, like, he became like he was my roommate, and like these are people I'd see every day and like go to shows with and have fun with. So it wasn't like we were forming a band because like, oh man, Alex, you're a sick bass player and you like can play really fast, or like I'm an awesome guitar player, or Peggy. It's like these were people that like we all love music, but it wasn't based on a sense of like filling a help wanted ad of like finding the most like musician-y type people. And eventually we learned how to play better. Like it's not like we think we shouldn't play well. It's just like the motivation for playing was that we were friends, that we loved the thing that we're doing a lot, and not just like, oh, I'm so good at playing guitar really fast, I should be in a band because that's awesome or something. It's interesting, and I'm glad because we spend a lot of time together. It's like people in my band are like my best friends. If you're gonna spend 8 hours a day in a band with someone, it's like if you don't like them a lot, you're gonna you're gonna go crazy. So I'm really glad that we all respect each other and appreciate each other.
Yeah, just in my experience, I found that bands, records from bands that you can tell hate each other, you can always tell. So, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think there's a lot of bands that have had like weird interpersonal issues, and yet they've kind of resolved those through like kind of making great music. And not every band is like always happy all the time. And I mean, even the Ramones, like who started off as a sense of like camaraderie. I watched this End of the Century documentary, and it was very much like they were just wouldn't even really communicate with each other towards the end. They were still touring constantly, and that was like their profession. But it was kind of sad to see, because it's like the impetus or the idealism of the Ramones are so wonderful and something I really believe in. But the reality is it's like after like 20 years or whatever, they just weren't friends. They didn't like each other, and it was like a little disheartening. But the music was still great, and what they represented is timeless and wonderful. So I'm glad things are going okay for us.
Yeah. Speaking of things going okay for you, guys played Coachella on Friday. Like, I wanted to ask you, like, how'd that go? Like,
well, I mean, it's like it's so different than what we normally experience. Like it's like this. I mean, tonight's like normal, like for Pain. So just playing club shows is like the normal thing. So getting a chance to play in front of like just like a sea of people, like at a huge music festival, is really cool and like really special. And
it's not something I can say I've done.
Well, it's yeah. I mean, it's just like if you get a chance to do it, you should do it, because it's special, and it's like once in a lifetime, a lot of that stuff. And we had fun doing it. I mean, I think we were a little nervous at first, and then halfway through, it's always you realize it's not going that badly, so then you start to have fun. not make a mistake. Let's not make a mistake. And you realize, okay, we can actually have fun. Yeah, it was really cool, and like we played with Twin Shadow played on Sunday, and this band, the drums played right before us. We're friends with, and Titus Andronicus is a band that really they're a band we love. We actually played our very first show with them at Peggy's birthday party. They also played, and
wow,
and they're just like cool.
That's OG shit.
It's like really, it was literally like the coolest thing to think about now, because we love that band a lot. Like me and Alex would go see them play, and they were all like high school buddies, and like
wow.
they formed because they were the kids in the neighborhood where they grew up in New Jersey. Alex and I were like just huge fans of them, and it's just like crazy to see, like, 4 or 5 years later, like, I remember seeing those early Titus Andronicus shows, and now it's like you see like
them at Coachella.
And then like we're at Coachella, and it's just this weird thing, like how did our lives go from like going to see Titus Andronicus as their bass players,
birthday party,
like,
something, right?
yeah, basically it's like pool house or whatever, so like, or like at his mom's house, to like seeing them play Coachella. Or
you guys deserve it though, man.
Well, those guys definitely do. They're just like they work so hard, and their songs are so amazing. I think Patrick Stickles is like such a great songwriter.
That's his favorite, man.
Yeah, I adore. Like he actually got long story, but he snuck me into a 21 and over music video a long time ago. Like, because I was just standing outside of it. It was.
He's like a really interesting and special person, and I admire him a lot as I guess as a songwriter, but also I think he's
an awesome dude.
He's an awesome person, and like a strangely awesome person. He's like different. There's a lot of people in bands, but he's and there's a lot of people that are well-meaning in bands. It's not like everyone in a band is like self-serving, whatever. But he's like a strange, different kind of creature where it's like the values. He tries to really live a special set of values, like wholeheartedly, and I think it's like. It's almost like it's rooted in something more than just like indie rock. What indie rock is all about. It's like he's like a really cool person. He's another dude. Okay, so many bands do interviews all the time like this, but it's like he's one of the other bands I will always read any interview he does. If I see if I ever see his
any interview,
it's always hilarious because he like, goes off on like weird tangents about stuff. He's incredibly smart, and it's like.
I read his blog constantly. Like you probably read it. You probably read it as well. You know what's up.
His writing style is fantastic, but it's also like anytime there's like something involving him, you're like curious to see what it is. And there's only a couple other people like that. I mean, there's like I think Damien from Fucked Up is another. Yeah, he's another guy that's just like you can just tell like they're operating on a different level than most people, and it's just cool to see. Like they're kind of ballsy. Like I think Titus played Common People at Pitchfork Festival like right before like Pulp. He was like, and they were just like Pulp was gonna play after them or something. It's like, well, they're not gonna play this song anyway, so. Or Jarvis Cocker was performing, and they just do like funny stuff like that, where they have a sense of levity, but it's really serious, good music as well.
Yeah. All that said, we also wanted to ask you. You guys worked with Flood.
Well, first off, like getting a chance to work with someone like Flood is just cool. It's one of those things where it's just,
worked with you two and the Smashing Pumpkins.
It's just and so much stuff. Like it's like stuff that we didn't like. His everything from Erasure and like a lot of like stuff and Nick Cave. He did a bunch of Nick Cave records with PJ Harvey and it's like his
OG shit.
He's done like all sorts of stuff. It's not like Nine Inch Nails. It's like not like he has like one sound that's like the Flood sound. He's like he just loves music and he makes interesting records that Depeche Mode. He makes records that come to define the bands that he works with, and it's but I guess like the point I always wanted to like make clear is that just because his name is Flood doesn't mean he walks into the room with like a cape and like two wraparound sunglasses and it's like, now we will do it the Flood way. He's extremely approachable. He's like your uncle that would come to a barbecue, except he has like cool stories about making like doing the tape operator on the first New Order record and like stuff like that. He's like literally like approachable, wonderful, friendly, really creative, but also playful. He's like
He's like an uncle who will tell you, who will like take you aside at a family barbecue to tell you a dirty joke.
There's an element of like maybe that, but it's almost more like it's like he makes serious records, like serious real deal records, but he doesn't make them. It's not like he's so serious that he's like doesn't have fun. Like it's like when we were making the record, it's like we wanted to make the best record we could, but we weren't sitting there like screaming at each other and like in anguish and like doing all sorts of like throwing tantrums or whatever. He kept things like light and fun. He brought Alex cupcakes on his birthday, like the second day. It's like he's
that's sweet.
And the thing about people that are actually really talented is they don't like remind you how talented they are every 10 seconds, or like they're nice, and they're not like, don't you know I made Downward Spiral, I made Violator, or whatever. They're like,
I love that album.
And
Me too.
And actually, who he works with, like the guy that mixed it, is also like in a similar way, Alan Mulder. They're like friends, like, you know, they share a studio, and they have water cooled conversations, and they like, you know, they work on a lot of stuff together, like Smashing Pumpkins they worked on, and like sort of been in the same room on a lot of different kinds of projects, and they know each other really well. And he also was fantastic, and he mixed the record, and it's like he brought out so many great elements in the songs through just mixing, which is something, you know, a lot of people don't like actually know the role of like a producer or like someone who mixes. And we didn't go into the process. We were just like, well, we like the records, we like the things they've done in their lives. It's like that's like a lot of it's like music that's like incredibly inspiring. And when we were making the record, we wanted it to sound like big and like beautiful and expansive and like really immediate and cool. And you know, when we think of records that sound like that, like they usually have those guys' names on the back of them. So just to get a chance to work with people like that, which is usually a little beyond, way beyond like bands that are on our level, was just an awesome experience, and it really allowed us to do something different musically that I don't think we would have been able to do just if we tried to do things exactly the same way as the first record. And it's not to denigrate what we did on the first record at all, or put it down. It's like I'm proud of the first record too. It's just like yeah, we're just psyched on it, and we're proud of the record that we made, not in the sense of like we're so great, but just in the sense of like we made something that we really believe in, and we're really excited just to play the songs for people.
Well, speaking of the touring, we want to thank you again for coming to Visalia, to coming to the Central Valley of California, you know, where, you know, just two ghetto Mexican kids like us can come to your shows and, like, you know, just fall in love with your music.
Thank you
know, thanks again, Kip Berman. And
we really appreciate you guys taking the time to do this, and like, and you, I don't know how to say it. It's like I really appreciate your enthusiasm, and it's like really nice to see, and it's really heartening because
we love your music, man. Like,
I don't know, it's just like the fact that you're like really super into music and stuff. Like,
yeah, of course.
It's not about like honestly, it's like playing Coachella was so cool to play in front of a lot of people, but it's like just knowing that like some people are like super into it and like really care about it is like actually, I mean, that's how I was. Like the bands I liked growing up were usually not the massive kinds of bands or whatever, but I still thought they were massively important to me. So I'm just psyched that you guys are positive and
thank you, man.
Awesome.
Yeah. Well, I'm Alberto Santillan, Arroz y Frijoles Music, arrozyfrijolesmusic.blogspot.com. This concludes the Arroz y Frijoles interview, and I'm signing off. We'll see you soon.
Adios.